he's on, all he wants to be petted, everything is wonderful. But he's, during the day, he's a lot more insecure and doing his own thing. And lock the solution, he's yeah, I just always worry, especially because that doesn't always last, right?
Right. No, I had, again, not too long ago, my 16-year-old got out and was on for 2.5 weeks.
No, I would too. Is he Chip?
My girl was Chip, but of course she doesn't have a tag or anything.
Right. That's the thing I've heard from a lot of people that will put collars on their cats, and there's a sort of debate, and this sort of, and the point I thought was most salient was, if they do get lost, the collar will be back in faster than the Chip.
Yeah, an air tag or somewhere kind of.
Yeah, or just a thing with your phone on it.
Well, and it turned out that in my case, because I live on a nature preserve, these people should just come around with this pond.
You just couldn't find it, right? So much, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So did she eventually come back?
I had to come back.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Thankfully, a neighbor said to me, the neighbors were the first one that texted it. And then, again, 2.5 weeks later, a neighbor texted, well, the door's down for me. So I swear your cat came to my back door when she was home. And I said, okay, well, would you mind then if I put my cat on your back door? Next morning, I got it.
Yeah. Have you had her for the whole 15 years, or?
She was 9 years old, yeah.
And if she ever been like trying to run away, or?
She could, I was in Texas for 2 days. She was gone for 3 days that time. But because I think it was our family's betterment, but my detriment.
Maggie.
When I was living in apartments, I had a part of her trying to move, so she came back.
Sure. Everything, there are probably lots of mice and stuff going around. Sure, sure. Yeah, that's sort of like the place we used to live in Red Nature Reserve. We never had any cats around out there, but children get one. You seem really interested in that. Buddy, what are you sitting at? Where are you sitting at? He does talk a lot. Even when he tells me at night when he's purring and wants to be petted, he'll still do that while he's purring. So that he's just a real approach. Yeah, he's so much fun. He's so wild all the time. As far as the stuff goes, I mean, if you have room for the food, great. It's kind of heavy. I feel maybe the way they try to do it.
I brought a tree, but that's nice.
Yeah, this is a youth blanket with one of the toys that it's used to, just so you've got something familiar. So that's why it's all new stuff that people spend. I don't know if you saw mailbag yesterday. Somebody sent a cashmere for you.
I was telling somebody like how when the patterns were adopted, how someone paid all this.
Right, the fairy patterns. Yeah, it's so cute. There's a paper to sign if you want to get that out of the way. And then I always recommend people like the end of the day and then work it out. Just put that right on. Okay, yeah, I don't know. My dad said I could get some from her, but she also doesn't open. I don't want to bother her. Yeah, no, she would. She offered, you know, but I was like, you know, it's when it's cell phone dead, so maybe they'll do like you and I could Oh man, I had somebody doing like an Uber delivery once, and they have to take a picture of it, and they were freaking out for like a half an hour. Like, I can't leave unless I can post this picture. No, they are so social too. No, so much screaming. I know. That's how you say hi. I know.
Oh, you do need more pudge on you, poor girl.
Yeah, she's really giving it all to the kittens right now, but they're just, all except for the girl now, are eating, so it won't be too much longer.
Oh, dramatic head bonk.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, she's the only one who's not quite eaten on her own yet. She had a little bit this morning though, so that was good, but not, she only took like one bite. What are you doing? What is this game?
When we went to the shelter to get Axel, the kids were like, I want a little kitten. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I promised that I would not be that person who is taken in by must adopt the tiniest tiny.
Yeah, that's, I mean, they never are, they stay tiny that long either, but
exactly.
my advice to people who want to have a tiny kitten around though is to foster.
Exactly.
Yeah, do that for a little while and you'll be over it. I can't say that really because I'm not over it. These guys are adorable. You never really get over it.
Yeah. But that's why I was happy that we could, even though Axel is on the young side, he was adopted and then returned.
Oh, okay. We've had that happen a couple times. It's been a while.
And then I adopted him after that.
That's so sweet. That's wonderful. Yeah, even Bob Ganoush, who was like one of our, famous kittens way back, he was one of the returns.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah.
Watching things back. Yes, I'm sure it smells so very interesting. It smells so different.
It's good for them to meet new people, and this is a perfect age for it too. So
yeah.
I'm glad they're getting that opportunity.
So I was telling the kids, like, why would you go all the way to Connecticut? I was like, you don't understand.
Right. I'm glad you did. Cashmere is just, I knew he was going to find the right person for him, and it sounds like you got everything really worked. And you still have the 16-year-old.
Yes.
And then Axel is 6 months?
Yeah, 7 months.
7 months. So they're almost the same age.
Based on someone had posted 319.
Okay, I don't know for sure.
321, but
okay.
Regardless,
yeah.
Axel is 119. They're basically 2 months apart.
Yeah.
And then, we've got my 16-year-old, and I kind of joke that it's like about every 8 years. I think that's a
good time. I mean, we have too many faculty, honestly, but, once you're committed, you're committed.
Right. I've got the 16-year-olds, and I've got 2 8-year-olds that are from the same litter. That they were the ones who were, unfortunately, way too young to be separated from mom. But by the time I got into the picture, they were already separated.
Sure.
So I said, well, if I'm going to take one, I'm going to take 2.
That's cute.
So, because there were 4 all-black kittens, and they were all girls.
Oh.
And of course, they were so young, you couldn't tell who was bonded to who.
Right, yeah.
So, even though they're litter mates, they're not particularly bonded.
Oh, really?
And one of them is actually in the worst medical shape. She's probably the one, unfortunately, that we're going to lose sooner than later.
Oh, no.
But, you adopt them and you don't know.
Yeah, that's the way. Sometimes you do know, and you're still, you're just in it for what you're in it, like teaspoon,
Right.
I'm really excited for tomorrow to find out what's going on with Frank.
Right.
Because tomorrow's the day when they get to finally find out. Yeah, she's really got some issues. Yeah. So she might be one of those kittens for somebody, but with us having just done teaspoon, I don't think she's going to be one of those kittens for us.
For you, yeah.
Yeah. But
you can back down, just don't back down off my arm.
I think we're getting the idea that Stetson is going to be the shy one, so I'm a little bit worried.
Well, you are such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she's done so good with these kids, and we just got real lucky with this group. It's nice, too, considering everything we've got going on right now, with Teaspoon having, some recent, issues, exacerbated with his pooping problems, and then Crank going on. It's nice to have a group in that we don't have to worry about quite so much. Yeah, so it's been really good. Also, I was starting, it seems like we've had such a string of, upper respiratory infections and, just stuff that it's nice to see that it's not like we're doing something wrong. It's just bad luck for a while.
Yeah. So I keep telling people, when you adopt them from outside, you don't really know.
Right.
And the most that you can control is what's here, but even then.
Yeah, exactly.
Tragedies happen where, colonies inbreed and.
Yeah, that's true too.
You can't change.
I tend to think though, it's like, with dogs, you always hear that like mutts are going to be the healthiest because, so many breeds are just so inbred to get the qualities that they wanted. I think cats tend to be that way as well. They just come in usually with some, illnesses that they've caught, but genetically I think they're usually really well off.
One or two people that I showed a picture of Cashmere to was like, oh my gosh, he's a Russian blue, and I'm like, no.
Well, not officially, yeah.
Not officially.
Right.
He's gray. He's adorable.
Yeah.
But I would never pass him off as.
Yeah, well, I mean, people just identify with the breed, so,
Oh, Yelly. Duke Derby of Yellington.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely the one that is the yelliest. He's gonna prove it too. So they said you had a real good plan for introducing little Cashmere to your folks, to your other cats.
Yeah, the goal is Axel first.
Okay, yeah, because they'll probably want to play together.
Yeah.
Now I have noticed that he gets really hissy and sort of swatty around cats that he doesn't recognize yet. But I also know that him being a kitten and the way he does with everybody here, he will come around. Oh, I see back there. Yeah, I see. So I know he will come around. It might take him a little while to stop hissing. But if I know you must have introduced cats before since you get new ones every 8 years. I generally find that having them eat together or play together so they're distracted by something and not just focused on each other is also good. And then cut them off before it goes too long and they start to get hissy.
Yeah, we're starting with Axel. We only got as far as scent swapping the areas where bring my girls into. He's staying in my bedroom. Yeah. And bring the girls out. But I had asked a while back the folks that adopted the tiny plants and then Puddles and her two. Yeah. I was like, how the heck did you guys do that?
Yeah, because this is a lot of introductions to me.
Yeah. And they sent me this picture of a screen, or a link to a screen off Amazon. So I plan on buying that as well.
Yeah, that's a good idea to have them see each other. Now, I don't actually know anything, but after our move here to Connecticut, when all the faculty started acting different towards each other, I kind of got the idea that the scent is something, but I also think territory is something where if you introduce them in a place where neither of them own,
That's what I tried at first with Godiva, the more recent edition, hadn't really fully integrated, and I tried okay, nobody's got territory. Right. Here you go, everybody go in.
Oh, okay.
And poor Godiva just ran to the top of a cat tree.
Yeah.
And practically stayed there.
Yeah, I'm not saying just throw them together.
Exactly. No.
But having them, if you do that play thing or you do treats or something, you maybe do it at a place where neither of them feel like that's their home.
Yeah, because the older cats aren't as much about play anymore.
Yeah.
There's more Katies who we thought Axel would try and get along with, but unfortunately that hasn't happened, which is when I was like, well, maybe we just need a younger cat in general to befriend him. And maybe then when the two of them are playing,
somebody else will come in a little bit. Could be. Yeah,
where they'll have gotten their energy out, and maybe then when they're interacting with the other cats, they won't be so needy for play because they might have gotten it from each other.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, wearing them out does sometimes help for kittens that are too active. So, yeah, no, it does sound like you've got some good plans going, so that's fantastic.
At the very worst, we know that we've got barely enough room to fully separate Cashmere and Axel
if it comes to that,
if we have to.
Yeah, I mean, that might be a good place to start, where I always do suggest that he gets his own space that he can feel comfortable in so he can do the introductions, but
we'll give it a shot. The good news about Axel is that he is young enough. He is still very food motivated.
Okay.
That to to the point that he started realizing where his food came from, and I put it in this,
Oh, yeah, he'll go for it.
And he knocked it out of my hand twice. And so
that is serious.
Right, and I was finally like, no, I'm going to start curbing this behavior where now I'll hold it above him just like I used to.
And not give it to him until he settles down.
Right, and I try to sit for what it's worth. I know he's not a dog, but still, it's like sit, and I count to at least like 5 or 6 and try to like calm him down. If he jumps for it, then I reset the clock, count to 1 more second, and then it's like, okay, good boy, and then I'll put it down. So for whatever, to at least like curb that behavior as much as I can, but like you said, that makes me think that, okay, feeding him and Cash together actually would distract Axel enough and give him a positive association, if not Cashmere, but definitely Axel being like very
Cash definitely comes running for the dry food too when I give it to him, so that might be something that works for him.
That was one of the other things I was going to ask, was like, they told me when I adopted Axel what brand of cat food, dry cat food, he was eating at the shelter, and we haven't fully transitioned him to wet fancy feast yet. But
I can give you some, and I can also, the brand is like Purina. I'll send it to you online. It's a Purina something or other. I'll have to look. I think Purina Naturals chicken is the dry food, but I also think that for him, he probably doesn't care so much. For him, it's like treats. Like he'll eat any dry food and just think that this is so fun. So I think he'll probably be all right with just about anything. Oh boy, speaking of things I don't want to forget, I gotta go see if I can find that tooth of his. Can I leave you here for a minute?
Yeah.
Let me squeeze past you here at the door. All right, there we go.
It's okay. Oh, you're going to be so happy for somebody one day. Look at you guys. Hi. Hi.
I do have it. Look out, buddy. Look out. She's been kind of a door runner lately. The mom has. She's wants to go out and see everything. All right, so this is. I just happen to have a little box. Oh, wow! She almost she knocked it right out of there. Oh no!
Hazel.
Oh no! Going everywhere.
Silly girl.
All right, cool. You don't have to take this right now. I'll just put it in your stuff. Oh, this we had something else that came in. This says to DJ. That's all right though. This is one of his little keys. So I just happened to find it right when he lost it. So that happens at right about 6 months. So it's the time. He still had one last time I looked, one of his other baby teeth, but
I keep wondering if I'm going to find Axel, because we have had him for about a month now, or if he's...
Usually they end up swallowing them, and then you never find them, but yeah, sometimes they fall out and do. I know.
Oh, she's going to be so great for somebody one day. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Such a sweetheart.
Yeah, she is all about following me around when I do let her go out and run around. And she's really good at the faculty too, but nobody's made friends yet, so when they get too close, there's still a lot of hissing. But she doesn't bother anybody, which is nice. Hazel, Gadget has actually started to get better with everybody too, where I'm almost ready to just let her out without having to supervise so close. Yeah, I didn't think that she would ever get there because she's so energetic. She's got so much energy. But I think she's really starting to figure it out. What? You guys talk so much. I know, you talk so much.
That was what one of the kids asked. It was like, I thought we were adopting a cat older than Axel to kind of like help put him in his place. And I said, but
I think Cash can handle himself.
I think Cash can handle it.
Yeah, he had a tough mom,
Well, and that he's been, like I said, he's been socialized with these other adult cats that I knew. He had learned his manners, so to speak.
Yes, he definitely does. He does have manners, and he's more likely to run away from, a conflict. So, although he does, when he gets to see Crank, he is just fascinated by her and just wants to smack. He gets really close, and then
It's the smack of what are you?
Yeah, exactly. So So I try to keep him away from her, but through all the faculty, whenever there's a conflict, he's the one that's like running away, not trying to keep things going.
Your face is so
No, it's silly. What is this game you're playing? What is it, huh?
white blaze is so cute.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll become more or less visible when he gets older. I guess we'll find out.
Barely. No, I've only seen him in pictures, but you're right, it doesn't look like it's getting much bigger than.
Yeah, it looks like it's actually less visible than when he was born.
Oh, well.
It is really cute, though.
Either way.
I'm sure he'll always have some of it.
Yeah, either way.
Just a little pinstripe.
Because before Lorelei, I had 3 boys, and again, they were like 8 years apart.
Sure.
And that was what I put in my application, was they were like, you know, which cat, and I was like counting, going, okay, I guess actually I do have to say the last one.
Yeah, I don't know how, I mean, the application is a lot, and I don't know how much they really, rely on it to be completely filled out, Like, I'm sure they ask for more history than they strictly require, but.
And I'm sure it's something like, again, they were asking, like, do you still have the cat, versus like, did you rehome them or give them up? Lorelei was a rehome.
Okay.
Where somebody, again, at 9 months old, friend of a friend.
Decided they couldn't manage it.
Well, had to move back in with their father, and he was allergic.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I don't actually, every now and then, there is something like that where we'll get a kitten returned or something, and I know a lot of people have that first instinct of being like, oh, how irresponsible is that person, for doing that, and I always think, it would be irresponsible to not do that, to try to find some other way to deal with it, or just give them to a shelter, like, that's a little bit worse. Especially with a lot of people's circumstances, it's like you just find out that you can't afford it anymore. It's right to give it up rather than try to not give it all the care that it needs.
That we were talking about that with some homeless folks, and it's like, how dare these homeless people have dogs? And I was like, here's the thing, that dog that we just saw, he looks fluffy, he looks happy, and
right.
he's
well cared for.
So if he's filled out and well cared for, that's different compared to if he's skin and bones.
Right.
And they haven't, done anything for him, or if he is not obviously, like, he's suffering from something, if he's got a tumor, if he's got something with his teeth, or,
Right.
At that point, you have to say, well, I can't do anything.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, if they're cared for, that's the important thing, and that's why I don't blame anybody that does have to rehome a cat, if they find out they're not caring for it well enough. That's important. Otherwise, that's how some people end up like cat hoarders in a terrible situation. You're just like, oh.
Yeah.
You gotta know when to say when.
Yeah, because someone was asking me, like, wait a minute, so you're going to be up to 6 now? I was like, yeah, but here's the thing.
Well,
Morgan
isn't our record, so.
No, but Morgan, I was like, Morgan unfortunately is not going to be with us much longer.
Yeah.
It's a degenerative disease. There's no surgery, there's no medication. It's just, at some point, it's going to be too much.
Sure.
And I hope that Lorelei sees 20, but you never know.
Yeah, but I think that's a good age to plan for anyway, is the thing, yeah. Hope they do.
Because I keep thinking of, cats like Smokey and some of these other cats that you see online that are like, they live quite a long time, and if they're cared for, they can.
Right.
You don't just assume, like.
No, I tell people that, you do plan that it's going to live 20 years. That's the goal. That's what you should hope for and plan for. And, I used to say to a lot of people that, cat adoptions, you should take it seriously, because I imagine that the majority of adoptions last longer than the majority of even marriages.
Right? Like,
you should really.
Statistics are behind you.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I haven't looked it up, but statistically, I wouldn't be surprised to find that was the case.
Yeah, like if Morgan doesn't see 10, it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, well, that's
right.
how it is. No, that's how it is for a cat, like, out in the wild.
Yeah, I think the average for wild is 13, something like that. So that's what I've heard anyway. it's one reason that we, you know, encourage people to keep their cats indoors around here.
Yep. Yeah, my girls are all indoors. Except for the one wanderlust.
They're the one that gets out, Yeah.
And that one I don't think was her fault. I think that the door popped open. Because the foster kids didn't learn, unfortunately, to lock the door behind them.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think the door popped open at, you know, like, I think I had it in my security system at like midnight. And then one of the kids woke up at 3 a.m. to go to the bathroom and goes, hey, the door's open.
Oh,
So,
no.
and that would have been bad enough, but for all I know, she was just hanging around the house, just
It's good that the kids noticed and did something, though.
but then didn't wake me up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I told them, like, I'm not mad at you for the door being open. That was probably not
But
your
you should have
fault,
let me know.
But you should have told me.
So you said you foster actual humans.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's got to be really cool.
Yeah. I ended up adopting the one that came to live with me 2 years ago.
Okay.
So that was
Are you going to adopt another one in 6 years?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But, you know, I built the house specifically so that it was big enough for fostering, and specifically teenagers, because teenagers have the hardest time getting adopted.
I bet,
Yeah.
Being placed.
Even foster. So, as an example, the most recent foster that I have that came to me in May, I am the nearest person willing to take them just for foster.
And how far did they come from?
45 minutes away.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's quite a
So
distance.
they're stomping ground.
How long does a teenage foster generally stay with you then?
We're thinking, like, the new laws are saying that the goal is like 2 years. That either at the end of 2 years you can kind of tell whether they're going to be able to reunite with their family.
Oh, a lot of these are like from families that would take them back then.
Yeah.
I just imagine they were like orphans, you know.
No, so the one that I adopted is an orphan.
Okay.
That is a tragedy where mom passed at like 1.5, 2 years old, and dad passed at 10.
You know, it happens. You know, statistics, it has to happen.
And so I promised myself that I would adopt, quote, out of my own backyard, somewhere in Ohio.
Sure.
Just, you know, that I don't need to be one of those people who takes an orphan from China.
Sure.
I just, you know, there's plenty of kids here who
That's true.
need the help.
But I mean, it's either way, you're helping save somebody's life, so it's just worthwhile. But
they talk about like the closer proximity you are culturally.
it probably makes it easier.
Or the fact that
it can be a challenge.
they can go back, right? So like
I see. If you're just going to foster.
But also the orphan being like wanting to go visit like their dad's gravestone, wanting to go visit their
that is a much bigger investment that way.
The remaining biological family that they have, all that kind of stuff. At least that is only, in my case, for the one that I adopted, about an hour away.
Sure.
And then
that's a lot more.
Versus the other foster that I have is actually going to emancipate. So even though she does have family in the area, she already did hit 18 before the reconciliation process would happen. But the goal is reunification in as many circumstances as can happen.
When they reach 18, is there a process you have to go through? You can't just kick them out and be like, all right, you're out now.
That's the goal, is that we don't do what the stories used to be about kicking kids out on the street. And so, for example, this kid had their birthday during the school year. So for one thing, it was please don't emancipate them.
Because you want them to finish school.
We want them to finish school, and some kids could probably have the maturity level to have things in hand by that point.
That's a big ask for anybody.
It's a big ask because it's at that point, after you emancipate, in order to get the supplemental money that they'll offer to these kids who are just starting out in the world, you have to either have a 70% attendance at a school or be working 80 hours a month.
So the foster program helps them get some starter money to get their lives going.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
In this case, it's the state of Ohio or the county so much. It's depending on the state. Some states have.
Whoa, buddy. That's a lot of yelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some states have publicly funded foster care programs.
Okay.
Ohio and Columbus don't. It's all private groups.
Okay.
So technically, I go through a group and I said, I'm willing to foster.
Sure.
They're called Ohio Mentor. And then that group has the contract with the county.
I see. So the programs are government sponsored, but they have it run by private contractors.
Yeah, and so that it's like, okay, you've got the caseworkers who work for the county that focus on the kids, and then you've got a second layer of caseworkers and people who vet the foster parents, and then the state just kind of assumes that until proven otherwise, this agency is doing a good enough job vetting potential foster foster parents. But yeah, so the goal is either reunification or emancipation, and they'll give extra funds if it turns out that the kid is doing the best that they can to, you know.
That's great.
And the problem with this kid was, I was like, she's dealing with way too many health things.
Really?
I don't want to pressure, like, we're already in an attendance issue, but to make it even worse by putting the stress of, and you have to do this or you lose funding.
Now, does the program continue to support you in that past 18 though? Or?
So, for example, this kid is almost 19 and has not yet been emancipated because of not really putting her in a good enough position.
So the program doesn't cut you off then and say like, oh, you've been there too long now, she's your problem, or?
They will at a certain point.
Okay.
And the old milk vampires.
Yeah, I'll try it. Mom's like, nope,
not right now. But yeah, and we can. There's what's called YTS, Youth Transition Services, before they emancipate, while they're still foster kids, setting them up to emancipate. But then there's a second program called Bridges, which is officially after. Oh, you did give in. After they emancipate. Then it's like, okay, now you're a legal adult, but here's some extra help.
It's good that those programs exist, I think. You know, it's nice that they aren't just tossing them out like, okay, well, you're 18, figure it out.
So, right, and so that's what's going to happen with my, almost emancipated kid is it's like, okay, you could stay if, and then you basically, I'm going to have them sign something along the lines of rental contract that's like, but
at least to give them the idea of
right, but supervised by the Bridges folks so that she knows I'm not taking advantage of her, but also that it's like, hey, so I should continue to get essentially rent money, but through the Bridges program, that she doesn't have to pay me.
Right.
However, if at any time she doesn't qualify for the Bridges program,
so that'll help be some incentive to keep her
it's
on
like,
the straight and narrow.
Where it's like, I'm not going to kick you out, but at that point, now you have to pay the rent.
Right.
And it's not very much, but for someone barely
just starting out and
part-time, it's significant enough to incentivize, like...
I remember it was rough when I moved out of my parents' house. So,
right, and if you're only working part-time, which is that's all they require of these kids, is functionally part-time. The average...
especially if you're still going to school.
Yeah, across an entire month, you only have to work 20 hours a week on average. And they'll give you supplemental funds. And if you can work beyond that, cool, but that's your bare minimum.
Yeah. So is this are the ones you have now your first group, or do you have ones that have graduated?
This is it's my first group, and I didn't plan to have 3 at once.
Sure.
But the one that needed extra time to emancipate was like, shrug. Yeah. And then the other one is younger, but has a higher chance of reunifying because unfortunately their parent is in the system.
I see.
But but it's a more of a petty crime compared to a more serious thing. So it's like people can change.
Yeah, people can.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And if
I mean, I don't know, people are different, but there certainly were people in my family that had went through that same circumstance of, being in the system and having a brand new kid, and I think that having the kid helped straighten them out a lot, so.
But there's a lot of things that can motivate changing behaviors, and unfortunately, having your kids taken away is one of the strongest motivators out there.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. And there's no guarantees. I mean, for all we know, I don't hope for this, but for all we know, the parent could relapse, and then they stay in the foster care system, or,
it's good to know that either way, the kid is going to be put in what's the best circumstance for them. That's the part that I think is really.
Yeah. And we talked about the fact that I can continue to be functionally an auntie, to some of these kids, even if
That's what I was wondering about, if there were ones that had graduated, if you kept in touch with them.
No, but only because the one other, you can do something called respite. This is what I tell anybody who's, kind of interested, but they're worried about the time commitment.
Sure.
There's something called respite, which is intentionally short-term.
Okay.
It's either one of two things usually. Either it's the kid who has immediately come into care. You may not be the perfect family for them.
So they just need to put them somewhere today until they find the foster.
Yeah, and it's if you can handle them for even
they should just have a shelter, what?
They do. It's called orphanages.
I was gonna say they'll just have each of them in a little box with the station on the front and litter box on obviously somewhere to go. I know how to manage this stuff. I've got experience.
But the other kind of respite is kind of had I done this over a longer period of time, I would have had to have the two kids in respite, where it's hey, I am not going to be back sleeping in my bed at night. So, unfortunately, the kids need to stay somewhere else.
I see. So, if you have to leave, then.
Yeah, or if I'm going to a family event that's in California, right? It's not these kids' family. They don't want to come. And it's well, you can stay at someone else's house for respite, where it may not be perfect, but again, it's intentionally short term, just to kind of.
It's cool that the program has that for you as an option too. A lot of people would be keep them with a friend or something, but I guess that's not always an option. You can have. There's a normalization aspect that if this was your biological child, and you were going out, and for some reason the kid can't come with you, what would you normally do? Right.
Your parents,
so you're allowed to do
cousins,
that kind of stuff.
So I've dubbed two families in my case where it's I've asked the folks to say, please approve these people as viable backups in the event that, number one, I can't do respite,
right.
Or number two, if I'm just 2 years ago in December, I was in so much pain. I had to go to the hospital. Turns out I needed my gallbladder removed.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was going to say, you could end up incapacitated, or God forbid, die early.
But yeah, in that case, it was very, very last minute. And I didn't realize that, I didn't realize at the time, because that was my first, emergency situation with a foster kid, that the kid could have just stayed the night with my parents. I thought they had to be with somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense too, yeah. Oh, I've been kneeling too long. Whoa,
yeah,
I gotta sit down for a second. That'll get you. That's fascinating. Did you have kids of your own, or just okay? So you just started out on fosters? Did you have experience taking care of kids?
No.
Wow.
So I had to do extra hours of training.
Oh, really?
Because I did not have my own biological children, and I didn't have any kind of job, either teacher, nurse, any kind of position
that puts you in contact
with kids. And they also knew that I wasn't interested in babies, so they weren't worried about that. I
imagine just with kittens, that's more of a challenge.
So I specifically, you fill out this giant matrix of what kinds of kids are you interested in taking? And I specifically said, for
just the good ones, please.
No, not even that, but I said no younger than 8.
Sure.
I didn't want to deal with pottying and some of those kind of basic functions, kind of like today. I wanted to be able to leave these kids alone and trust that they weren't going to burn the place down or starve.
Right.
You know, like, just, can you survive on your own for several hours at a time and know that if there's an emergency, again, like my parents, they have my parents' phone numbers.
Good.
Worst case scenario, call them and not, you know, oh my God, how dare you leave a 5-year-old, you know, by themselves for 12 hours kind of situation.
But, no, it's really interesting to hear all that. It's something I've thought about. I doubt I would ever get to it, but I'm in the same circumstance where I have never been around human children, so I have no experience whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that would be disqualifying. It's good to hear that it's not. But at this point, like, I've been talking about fostering a dog for years, and I can't find the bandwidth to do it, so, yeah, humans probably not.
Who knows?
Yeah, but it's something I think about sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's what I promised myself in high school, that if I reached a certain age where I was financially stable, but I wasn't married, that I wouldn't focus on IVF or any other kind of like, well, I must have my own biological children. It was like, no, I know how hard it is for most mothers. Giving birth, I don't want to sign up for that as a single person on top of everything else.
You're doing something great for someone else too. So I think it's just on every level that's the right choice.
Because what I didn't realize growing up was that my mom would tell what to me at the time were two completely incompatible stories.
Oh.
She would say I was the first grandbaby on both sides of the family.
Okay.
But I also would know that I had 2 older cousins on both sides of the family.
Okay.
And what I came to find out was they married in with my aunt.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that there was a brother that married a woman with a child on both sides of the family. And both of them are a couple years older than me.
So that's how both things can kind of be true.
Right.
Yeah.
That I was the first grandbaby born.
Right.
And then, several years later, these other 2 were adopted into the family.
Yeah.
And, they were already by that point a couple years older than me. And when I finally put those things together, the way that my mom would talk about it in such hushed tones of like, oh, we can't talk about it.
Seems like a scandal, huh?
Right, it was such a scandal, but then coming to the realization of, no, but in particular the one who, my dad only has 2 siblings, and the one had 3 children, and one of them being the older one. But like, those 3 cousins and I grew up just tight, and we would go to each other's birthdays, and we would, we literally lived down the street from each other. We were always that whole gang of people. We were all, 14 or 11 of us, whatever it was at the time. We were always going out and having every holiday together. So like, we all grew up together, and having that realization in high school of like, this changes everything I thought I knew, but at the end of the day, it changes nothing about my bond with her. Yeah. That it changes nothing about this relationship, but it changes everything I thought I knew about what a family
sort of the place in the world. Yeah.
And that's when I made that promise to myself that I would consider fostering. And at the time I said adopt, but now come to find out, at least in Ohio, you have to foster them for 6 months.
Oh, that's a good policy.
Right, so that you get kind of out of that seasonal honeymoon kind of period where you might push off some things that bother you, or didn't come up. Just if all you did was 3 months, you could feasibly do the all of summer, and then you hit school and find out that there's some incompatibility.
Right.
We had that with the kid that I ended up adopting. Was they were for a while they're dead set on wanting to be homeschooled, and I said, number 1, while you're in foster care, they won't let you be homeschooled, and number 2, when you're adopted, if you're adopted by me, just know I am not gonna.
That's not part of the deal.
That's not part of the deal. So you just need to get that out of your system.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but like having those kind of conversations with someone who has, something approaching the maturity of an adult to have those conversations with was what I signed up for. People were like, well, oh man, I could never do that. It's like, well, it's that, or, you know, having somebody who's under 8 years old and they're completely biologically dependent on you.
Right.
And I signed up for hard conversations with teenagers compared to, you know, 3 square meals a day and potty training.
What is that, buddy? Is that pooping on
I'm
something?
gonna say,
Yeah, he's kind of acting like he's trying to figure out. Oh, he is pooping.
oh, oh,
I'm gonna put you over here so you
Yeah.
learn. Oh, there's not a litter box over here. It's in the other
oh
room.
no!
I was gonna get them a litter box today too. I'll at least get us some wipes.
Oh, poor guy. You're trying so hard. Aw, bud. Poop announcement. Aw. Wanna stay over here, buddy? At least stay out here on the carpet. At least stay out here on the carpet.
Yeah,
He's
he's
still on
looking
the
for the right place to go.
Aw.
I know.
You're
buddy.
trying. You're trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, you're doing good, buddy. Boy, I've been doing a lot of this lately. Oh, there you go, buddy. Let it all out. Okay. Yeah, you almost had that all figured out. I'm sorry. I let you down. I'll get you a litter box, okay? Yeah?
I think he dropped some back there too.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. I'll get you in. Oh, Mom's gonna get it? Okay.
Oh no.
I mean, that's.
I know what that's what they do, but
yeah.
it's like
She's been eating all this poop up to this point.
she needs all the help she can get.
Oh no.
All right. Well, we should probably get your stuff packed up and.
It's been nice though.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm really interested to hear about all of that. Like I said, it's something I've thought about. Probably will never get to, but
No, but it's nice to lead the best kind of proselytization.
Right.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Somebody else or.
Oh, I So, yeah, you have to be able to show that it's maintained then.
Yeah.
Would this be easier to pack up and then bring in the kitchen for you? Then you can do it on the table? Oh, you're good at it too, good. That's, I mean, you can have it in the office, but yeah, this is good, I think we hang out on this a lot, so if you have room, yeah.
Well, I knew you kids were not ready to start.
Hi, kids. Pooping.
Oh, I waited just a little too long to bring this in here, didn't I? But this is the spot he picked, and it seems like a likely spot. We'll put it there for now. And then I'll be right back with a big kid box for you in here. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Look it right here. Get your trash can in here too, don't I? Everything in due time. All right, kids, now you got it. Move on.
right model. Yeah. All right, try yours.
to
Yeah, right.
keep this open, then it's like, but don't, as long as he doesn't have far to go.
Yeah, I've seen,
Hey everybody, cash withdrawal I saw in the Discord, clever. That makes sense. So, I always say a few words after adoption. I don't know how much you guys got to hear while I was in here chatting with her for a while. The sound may have been off. So, she turns out to foster human beings and has a lot of experience with that. And then other cats, one of which is 16, 2 are 8. And I think she's got one that's exactly Cash's age that she's hoping they can be buddies. So she's flying back to Ohio, and I don't know, she's a wonderful person that she's put every thought into this, and really is going to care for little Cash in a great way. And I can tell he already likes her, climbing onto all of her stuff. He wasn't running away from her the way he runs away from me. So just good times all around. I got really good vibes. I think it's going to be a wonderful life for him. And I'll be really excited to hear when he gets there. So she gets to, I believe, actually, I didn't ask specifically, but I'm pretty sure she gets to work from home as a consultant, like an IT consultant. And that means that Cash will have plenty of attention. And she's got some really good plans for how to introduce Cash to her other cats that involve, you know, taking the time and getting them to play and using treats as bribery and all that kind of stuff. So I think she's really got it together as far as all that stuff goes. And it's also fun that he's gonna have you know, foster kids to help take care of him. They have similar origins, I guess. So they've got that in common already, and that'll be fun. So yeah, it's fantastic. I'm really happy about it. Just a whole bunch of good adopters for Kitten Academy. That's what we like. I know you guys are having so much to say. All right, well, I have to go unwind because as much as I loved meeting her, and she's a wonderful person, I am always trained by social stuff because it's just not in my nature to be that guy. But I enjoy it, but then I've always got to take a break afterwards. So break time, and then we'll see what I can get up to next for these kids. Okay, now you stay here for now.